In this video, I will explain the phonation process for a singer. Before we do that, we must explain what phonation means. Phonation means the making of sound, the creating of sound. Sound comes from vibration. So phonation, the word phonation is made of a combination word made of one basic word, which is called phone. Sound is made into a verb, so phonation. For a human voice, the phonation process happens between your vocal folds. That means the vocal folds vibrate. Vocal fold does not vibrate like this, but it vibrates on each other. There are two sides of the vocal fold vibrates on each other. We must be very careful when you vibrate that you do not grind your mucous membrane below. Mucous membrane is soft material. It has nerve endings, also blood vessels in that area. On the vocal folds, there is none such thing. So when the vocal folds vibrate, you do not feel something touching or vibrating, but rather you feel that when you use the mucous membrane, you will definitely feel vibration. Like for example, when you clear your throat, you go and you feel it. If you try it, you will know that there are two things coming together. But when you talk, when you sing or talk, you do not feel anything touching or grinding. Now this is important because when you grind your mucous membrane below, like this, and below, it will thicken, it will hurt the skin there, and then thicken the vocal folds, then it will make your voice hoarse. Air will come through, then you start prematurely the phonation process. At the same time, it will rupture your mucous membrane. So never sing like Louis Armstrong. That is grinding purely the vocal fold, mucous membrane. Now the vocal folds, when they vibrate like this, the vibration is caused by airflow coming through from below. When it comes through from below, it flips like a flag, flips in air, and both sides flip on each other, creating a tone, a sound. Therefore, we do not call it a vocal cord, because this is not really a vocal cord. It is a fold that flip easily. The skin is very thin, and you have liquid, jelly-like muscle, and then towards the fourth layer, it will be the vocalis muscles. The vocalis muscles put the vocal fold in proximity, and then the skin of the vocal fold, which has no nerve ending, no feeling, it begin to flip. That's phonation. Now there are two kinds of phonation basically. The first terminology that describes phonation is what we call onset, O-N-S-E-T. Onset is where the vocal folds begin to vibrate on each other like this. That's onset. One vibration is like this. One vibration. So basically, like middle C is 226. Like that. It's 226 vibrations per second, flipping very fast. The onset is important because we do not want the onset to be strong, to be light. It should be light. If it is strong, it is going to be called a vocal plosive. So anytime when you talk, use any word that starts with a vowel, you will have what we call a glottoplosive. The glottis means the opening between your vocal folds is called the glottis. So glottis, a glottoplosive, like this, Now this kind of exploding phonation is easily hurting your vocal folds. So you want to have the onset really light so it would not be a plosive. Plosive is going to hurt your voice, but we do use that, but use them very carefully. Like, I am ugly. You don't say, I am ugly, but what I say, I am ugly. So that will be easier for your vocal folds. Then the phonation process also changes when you go up really high. When you go up to a middle range, like the C or D, you'll begin to feel some tension in your vocal folds. Normally, if your vocal folds are thinner and shorter, your feeling of tightening of the vocal folds is going to be much higher. But when you are baritone, you probably by B or C you begin to tightening a little bit. By D and E, you're going to tighten. The reason is the vocal folds need to vibrate faster, but then the vocal folds cannot vibrate that fast. It will close the front and the rear. The front right here, you can touch it like a V-shaped thing. The front and the rear is closed. So this closing action allows your vocal folds to vibrate with a shorter distance, shorter length. So the pitch that you want to produce could be produced easier. However, this tightening is going to trigger your other muscles to tighten up too. So therefore, we have what we call a vocal fatigue. Vocal fatigue, which happens when your breath is not able to go through the tightening vocal folds in a small little opening, not enough to produce that particular pitch, probably on D, on E flat, or E, on F. Then the vocal folds begin to be tightened even more. When you tighten even more, you will trigger the other muscles to be tightened. So your shoulder muscle will be tightened while doing so. So therefore, support, breath support is number one in singing. Phonation is number two. If the breath support is not strong enough to set the vibration, then the vocal fold will have to tighten more. The more it tightens, the more trigger the other muscles to tighten up. So you will end up really tight and can't hit the high notes. Therefore, we must allow the vocal folds to do its job, to vibrate in the most natural way, without additional pressure. This can be done by more support, breath support. Now, when you cross up higher to a higher note, you need to work with what we call registers. Registers. There are resonance areas in your head. So when you go to a certain level, you have to use those areas for resonance. So therefore, we release the vocal folds from extra pressure. So that will be our next video. Thank you.